No.
There you are. You're so very welcome. Yeah, y'all can just turn your chairs this way because I'm going to be right up here. Looks like I'm trying to get it on you. Just trying to get this arm to bend here so it can give me a little leeway.
I should have brought my muffins.
I'm not a carrot fan when it comes to stuff like that.
Right in there. I am. Okay.
Muffins are available for anyone who wants it.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay. I'm so glad that y'all are here. Yes, we're a small group, but we're growing, and the cool thing is that what we do, we're sharing on the internet and we're sharing it to the world. So if anybody ready has an opportunity to connect. So absolutely wonderful. Hold that. Big old incense. Cool. Yeah, I just upgraded my instant game to this big guy. I was messing with the loose stuff, and it was just always a struggle trying to get it lit. And I'm like, I'm just gonna get this. So yeah. All right. Oh, we're already live. Okay, I guess I pushed play.
Nice.
All right. Namaste. Welcome to Lotus Flower Wellness Temple, everyone. We are a public charity, and we believe in harmony for humanity. So we are doing our part, sharing some different things that we've learned along the way in our path that are helping us, and sharing it with other people that are ready and are looking for a community to support your growth. So thank you for joining. Thank you all for coming. We have some new people today, so I'm very excited. Yay!
Yeah.
Yay! All right,
Time
let's
for
get
you.
started. All right, so we always start out by doing some chant work. This is the Sambujo chant, and it just gives us an opportunity to kind of invite the energy of the Buddha, that kind of knowledge, and the just that support system. So Quinn, will you come up and help me out
Certainly.
here, buddy? Thank you. All right. Get started. So let me get y'all a copy too. He's not using his. He never does. So you can have that one, and I'll get you one more. You're welcome. everybody else chant that part. Now we are going to welcome the Buddhas to the temple, and here's your flowers. All right. So we respectfully welcome Amida Buddha to our temple as we scatter flowers of joy. And then we skip the second one and we go to the third one. We respectfully welcome the Buddhas of all times and places to our temple as we scatter flowers of joy. And for the new people here today, just so you know, essentially the word, the meaning behind a Buddha is the enlightened one. So when you reach to a certain level of conscious awareness of the true reality, that's when you would be a Buddha. Awesome. And now we're going to go over the 6 paramitas. So we're going to say the giving, or the leading, and then everyone can repeat with the all. Giving. May I be generous and helpful. Guidance. May I be guided by the Buddha's precepts. Tolerance. May I regard the mistakes of others with sympathy. Perseverance. May I do my best in all things. Meditation. May I reflect deeply on my life through the Buddha's teachings. Insight. May I understand the meaning of Namu Amida Butsu. All right, awesome. And then the Buddha Sava vows, we're going to do the second set. The many beings are numberless. I vow to save them. Greed, hatred, and ignorance rise endlessly. I vow to abandon them. Dharma gates are countless. I vow to wake to them. Buddha's way is unsurpassed. I vow to embody it fully. Awesome. Thank you very much, and thank you, Quinn.
Thank you.
And you guys won't need those anymore if you want to hand them back, that you don't have to hold on to them. Awesome. Thank you. You're very welcome. All right, so here we go. Thank everybody for coming. This means a lot to me, and I'm doing what I'm very passionate about, which is helping and healing people and helping people be guided back to their own personal truth and finding joy and happiness in the life that they have. So there are ways of thinking and just really simple kind of aha moments when you realize those, you can start to make little shifts and changes that really do affect your life on a grand level. And so being aware of those really can give you a real good shot at having some happiness and really finding your soul's path and purpose here in this lifetime. That's my passion and my joy is to help people reach that. You know, enlightenment is something that's a lifelong process, and it continually happens. All right, see, nobody's perfect. I left the I out of the whole interconnectedness. Maybe that's the point. Nothing is an accident. All right, let's see. All right, so this might be my 16-minute. Yes, that one. This is the second one. This is our first one we're gonna watch. Okay, so we're kind of video heavy today because this.
Why are there so many different
It just
religions?
says it all.
Well, it's because different religions are different answers to the biggest questions of life. So that's why people care so much about this. Question 1. Is there a God, and if so, how many? Some people don't believe in any gods or any kind of spirituality at all. These people are called atheists. Atheists don't necessarily believe God doesn't exist. Some of them simply lack a belief that God does exist. So some are more agnostic about it. But generally, atheists think we don't have any reason to believe in anything beyond the material universe. But some people who don't believe in God still believe in some kind of spirituality, and according to Buddhists, that spirituality should involve denying yourself. Here's why. Buddhism does not teach that Buddha was a god, nor did Buddha teach about any gods, but Buddha did teach about the ultimate red pill, which is that life is basically just suffering. At the root of suffering is desire. Those are the 4 noble truths. Number 1, life sucks. Number 2, life sucks because you want stuff. 3, if you stop wanting stuff, then your life won't suck. Number 4, there's a path you can take to not want stuff anymore. It's simple, really. The more you desire something, the more disappointed you're going to be when you don't get it. For example, the more you like a pretty girl, the more disappointed you're going to be when she rejects you. And she will. The more you love money, the more disappointed you're going to be when the economy crashes. And it will. You gotta stop being so attached to all these worldly pleasures. So you need to break that attachment by denying yourself. And then you can be spiritually free. Life is a cycle of pain, but if you eliminate your desire, you can free yourself from the entire cycle and achieve nirvana, which is true spiritual bliss. Now, some people want spiritual freedom but do not want to deny themselves. This kind of spirituality isn't about self-denial at all. It's about the opposite, self-affirmation. It doesn't like the submission involved in traditional religion, but still wants to have the spiritual meaning that traditional religion can provide. It's about the freedom to pave your own spiritual path. So because it's all about spiritual libertarianism, it's not an organized religion, but it's a decentralized set of practices that are becoming increasingly popular among Westerners, particularly women. Now, some people believe in many gods, like some pagans and Hindus. The difference is that Hindus believe in reincarnation. Pagans are usually polytheists, which means they believe in many gods. The gods usually represent forces in nature. The sun, there's a god for that. The moon, there's a god for that. The sky, there's a god for that. The sea, there's a god for that. Your crops, there's a god for that. So because there's a god for every area of life, if you want to succeed in a certain area of life, you need to win the favor of that particular god. And often different cultures have different versions of the same gods. Another thing is the gods of paganism are a lot more anthropomorphic, or human-like, than they are in other religions. The gods are a lot more powerful than humans, but they're still both finite. They're not all powerful. Just like humans, gods will fight each other, get drunk, reproduce, and make mistakes. Okay, now do Hindus also believe in many gods? Well, it's kind of complicated, because there are indeed many gods in Hinduism, but they're all part of the same ultimate reality. Hindus believe that the one ultimate reality encompasses everything, but it's received in many different ways. They believe there can be many incarnations of God or the gods, and that's why it's okay to worship idols, because the divine expresses itself through the physical. This is why Hinduism has a more pluralistic approach. Instead of having a strict canon of what you must believe, the way some religions do, Hinduism is more like a buffet where you can choose to believe what best suits you, because God can be received in different ways. Hinduism also believes that reality is a cycle, so that's why they believe in karma and reincarnation. They believe there's a hierarchy of life forms, and if you earn bad karma in this life, you'll move down the hierarchy in the next life. There's also a hierarchy of people, and if you earn good karma in this life, you can move up the hierarchy in the next life. So you could say Hindus are monotheist. The difference is they believe God is one with the universe rather than separate from it, which is similar to how Sikhs think of God. The difference is that Hindus worship idols and Sikhs do not. Sikhism strictly only believes in one God, but not in the way that Western religions do, because Western religions see God as something outside and external to the universe, whereas Sikhism would agree with Hinduism that God is one with the world, but unlike Hinduism, they do not think that that means we can worship idols. They see God as kind of an unknowable mystery, but they also believe that the gurus have been enlightened to teach us how to serve God, and that includes working for equality and justice. Western religions, on the other hand, do see God as separate from the universe, and deists don't even think God interacts with the universe at all. According to deism, God is outside the universe, and he sort of set the universe in motion, but doesn't actually intervene in the natural course of events. So deism often compares God to a sort of clockmaker for the universe. Why do they believe this? Well, deists think that from reason alone we can figure out that God exists, but when it comes to divine revelation or supernatural miracles, then they're a lot more skeptical. So God exists, but doesn't really care. But the Abrahamic religions believe God does care, and he does interact with the universe. Okay, so how exactly did he do that? Did God become human in Jesus? And if not, is Jesus still the Messiah? Judaism doesn't think so. Judaism is about God's relationship with the Jewish people. They believe they're God's chosen people, chosen by God to bless the world by helping people live rightly, and they believe God gave them the Torah to help them accomplish that. Okay, how strictly do they follow the Torah? Well, it depends on who you ask. Some Jews follow the Torah really strictly, some of them follow it kind of strictly, and some of them don't follow it strictly at all. They also believe in the coming of the Messiah, a Jewish superhero who's going to fix the whole world. The reason they don't believe Jesus was Messiah is because the world apparently hasn't been fixed yet, but they still believe it's their job to start fixing the world in preparation for when the Messiah does arrive. Now, Islam actually does believe Jesus was the Messiah, but still strictly not God. They believe he was a prophet, specifically a prophet of Islam, because they believe the same God gave different revelations to different prophets over the years, but these revelations gradually got corrupted, so God gave the final and perfect revelation to Muhammad in the Quran. They see Islam as the fulfillment of Christianity and Judaism. So they do believe Jesus was a very important prophet, they believe he was the promised Messiah, and they even believe he was born to a virgin, but they do not believe he was God, and they do not believe he rose from the dead. They believe that he didn't even die, God just made it appear that way. Muslims believe that the Quran is the direct word of God, it's flawless, it's eternal, and it's been perfectly preserved. and it also says how to submit to God. And that's very important because the meaning of Islam is to submit. God is ruler of the entire universe, and all humans are called to submit to God. And eventually God is going to reward those who do good and punish those who do evil. And if you want to know how to do good by submitting to God, there's 5 big ways to do so. The biggest focus of Islam is the fact that there is only one God. There is nothing like God, and God is so pure and so far above the universe that God couldn't possibly become human. Christianity is very different, however, because it teaches God did become human. Christianity is all about Christ. Jesus is truly human just like the rest of us, but he's also truly God just like God the Father. And because he's truly human and truly God, he's the only one who can bridge the gap between humans and God. And there is a gap, because God is perfect, almighty, and eternal, whereas we humans are sinful, weak, and corrupted. But still, in his infinite love and mercy, God came down, became human, and died for our sins, and he rose from the dead, and eventually is going to raise the rest of us from the dead as well. What's unique about Christianity is we don't actually have to be good enough for God, because God already did that for us when he became human and died for us. So we just need to be united to Christ, and then we can participate in God's eternal life. Okay, but how do we do that? For those who have faith in Christ, the Holy Spirit unites them to Christ, because the Holy Spirit is the Spirit of Christ, and he's also the Spirit of the Father. These 3 persons have relationships with one another, but they're still all the same being, so Christianity still only believes in one God. All of this is revealed in the Bible, which is the story about Jesus. Spoiler alert, Jesus wins in the end. He defeated death when he rose from the dead, and when he comes back, he's going to destroy all evil in the world and make the world perfect. Just like he united God and man, Jesus is also going to unite heaven and earth. So all these religions teach very different things. Some people try and respect all religions by saying they're all basically teaching the same thing, but this actually disrespects all religions by discarding the uniqueness of their claims. The truth is that religion raises the biggest questions of life that everyone needs to answer for themselves.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Book of Kings, where we discuss topics such as history, religion, philosophy, psychology, culture, and more, everybody, and the way that they all interact with one another. Don't forget to like, leave a comment, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to receive a notification.
All right. Okay, so here we are today gathered for this sermon, and as we're talking about with interconnectedness of all religions. So I would like for everybody, just to invite everybody to take a nice little breath. We do a breath work called the infinity breath, and I'm just going to quickly go over it with you guys because you don't know it yet. And we're just going to start now by doing a little breath work and kind of get everybody grounded and centered and everything. So the infinity breath is called so because it's shaped, the breath work is shaped like an 8. We're going to start with the downward loop, and it's more like imagining. So when you're breathing out, you're going to blow the first time, you're going to blow like all your stale old air and energy out. And when you get it all out, you're going to kind of visualize that as your center. And then when you breathe in, you're going to visualize cosmic creator light, just creator power and energy that you're purifying back into yourself, because that's what we are. And then you're going to hold that in the center, and then this time when you blow that bottom loop out, you're just circulating. You don't have to try to keep up with anyone else's breath. Just make it feel comfortable for you. And just, and give yourself just a minute to kind of feel the ground beneath your feet, and just kind of feel your body kind of get relaxed and comfortable. So we'll all start together. Just blow all that stale air and energy out. Hold at the center, and then breathe in all that cosmic creator light and energy back into yourself. Hold, and then just circulate. And as you're focusing on your breath, I just want you to notice that when you breathe in, you might feel a cool sensation, and when you breathe out, you may feel the heat of your breath. Just allow that to help you relax a little bit and just get yourself grounded. Also be aware of your feet touching the ground and just your connection to the earth. And just take a second just to be. Alright, so today we are reflecting on the truth that dwells beyond dogma, beyond doctrine, the truth that that's very quiet beneath the surface of every spiritual path. That is at the heart of all religions. There is the invitation to love, the invitation to compassion and to unity. Through the language, though all the languages are different, though the rituals may vary and the essence remains the same, a call to awaken our shared humanity, our divine nature, and our sacred thread is what is the connecting factor between all these religions. So the Buddha taught us that all things are independent, that nothing exists isolated, that so too our spiritual traditions are not separate islands, but they're waves rising from the same great ocean of truth. Let us explore together the golden threads woven through the great world teachers, the different religions, and remember that beyond the names and the forms and beyond the beliefs and the boundaries, we are all one.
Every time I release a new video. Hope you enjoy.
Thank you.
Hello everybody, we are back for another video. So the topic of religion has been a common theme on this channel.
Thank you so
And
much.
with today's video, we are going to return to that common theme of religion. Specifically discussing the interconnectedness and common origins of all of the religions in the world. So in discussing the interconnectedness and common origins of all of the religions in the world, we need to first start by examining two of the oldest religions in the world, one of which is generally accepted to be the oldest religion in the world. But before getting to those two religions, we need to discuss the religion which spawned those two religions, and that is the religion of the Proto-Indo-Iranian people, otherwise known as the Aryans. So first, as I always do
Spell my
when
name
I
like that a
mention
long
this
time
group
ago.
of people, I want to throw out this disclaimer. When we are referring to the Aryans, we are not referring to Germany, we're not referring to people from Germany. As I've mentioned before, the Nazis falsely associated Germany and speakers of Indo-European languages as a whole as being synonymous with the people known as the Aryans. But that was based upon certain misconceptions within academia at that time. In reality, at least as we understand today, the people known as the Aryans were the Proto-Indo-Iranian speaking people, generally associated with the Andro-Novo culture, who were the cultural and linguistic ancestors of the speakers of the Indo-Iranian languages. Those are the people of Greater Iran and the northern Indian subcontinent. So the Proto-Indo-Iranian religion was not per se a complex, sophisticated, organized religion in the same vein as the various major religions of the world, but it was very much a pagan religion of a largely nomadic people. So, like most pagan religions, it was polytheistic, and also, as all religions have, it had its own tradition of rituals and religious practices. So, from this Proto-Indo-Iranian religion, we would see world religions branch off into two different directions. There was a split that occurred. we would see this Proto-Indo-Iranian religion branch off into those two old religions, which we previously discussed, and that was the Hindu religion, which is overwhelmingly agreed upon as the oldest religion in the world, which would go on to dominate the Indian subcontinent, and it would also branch off and spawn the Zoroastrian religion, which would dominate Greater Iran. So in discussing this split within this Proto-Indo-Iranian religion, we're going to first discuss the religion, which is the more divergent of the two, diverges more from that original Proto-Indo-Iranian religion, and that is Zoroastrianism. So, amongst other areas where Zoroastrianism diverged from Proto-Indo-Iranian religion, we saw the divergence in the area of monotheism. So, as I mentioned, the Proto-Indo-Iranian religion was a polytheistic religion. So the prophet Zoroaster of Zoroastrianism, in essence, elevated one of these gods to the status of the only god worthy of worship, the god who Zoroastrians refer to as Ahura Mazda, and in essence he relegated all other gods to what we would understand in today's terms almost as demons or devils. And then in time, as Zoroastrianism would develop, there would be the development of the concept of there being one of these evil gods which would rise to the highest level and almost become the leader of them, who they refer to as Angra Mainyu or Ahriman. And this is believed to be the oldest documented origin of the concept of demons and a devil. Zoroaster would also discuss how God, Ahura Mazda, imbued the world with certain attributes from himself, namely 7 of which. These would eventually develop into figures known as the bountiful immortals, which become equivalent to what we would think of today as almost like archangels. So as we can see, in Zoroastrianism, we have the oldest documented origin of the concept of angels and demons, God versus the devil. And then, also within Zoroaster's teachings, we would see the evolution of the concept of what would eventually evolve into what we understand today as almost like a judgment day. So Zoroaster discussed how initially the world was created pure, and then of course now we have the world which is a mixture of truth and lie, right, which would eventually develop into the concept that we understand today of good and evil. But then with the help of good people, God would return the world to its original pure existence, and when that happens, the people who were on the side of God, who had aided God, will receive benefit, bliss, immortality, and the people who are on the side of these old gods, as he terms them, they will receive a grave punishment for their wicked ways. And that would eventually evolve into the concept that we understand today of a judgment day. And also, like I mentioned, Zoroastrianism talks about how certain good people will aid God in this cause, and these people are termed benefit bringers, which are referred to in Zoroastrianism as Sayoshants, one of which would be given a specific emphasis and specific importance in helping bring about this return to a pure, better existence. And that would be the oldest documented origin of what we would think of today as a Messiah-like figure. So this trajectory initiated by Zoroastrianism would continue through another religion which would develop independently of Zoroastrianism, and that is Judaism. So I'm sure we're all familiar with Judaism as a staunchly monotheistic faith. However, the original form of Judaism was a little bit different than it is today. So, as I mentioned, Judaism today is staunchly monotheistic. However, the Jewish religion originally subscribed to what scholars refer to as monolatrism, henotheism, or tribal monotheism, which in essence is worshiping only one God, yet accepting the existence of other gods. So the original Jewish people accepted the existence of more than one God, yet worshipped only one God, their God who they refer to as Yahweh. But we would see a change in this around the time of the Babylonian exile. So the Jewish people would be conquered by the Neo-Babylonian Empire, who would then destroy their temple and enslave them in the city of Babylon. The Neo-Babylonian Empire would then be conquered by the Achaemenid Persian Empire under the command of the Emperor Cyrus the Great, And of course, it should be noted that the Achaemenid Persian Empire subscribed to the Zoroastrian faith. And it is around this time, when the Jews were freed from Babylon and allowed to return to their land of Israel and rebuild their temple, that we see the emergence in Judaism of pure monotheism, where they believe in the existence of only one God. And this is widely believed by scholars to have been the result of influence from the Zoroastrian religion. Also around this time, we would see the development in Judaism of the concepts of a world to come, the resurrection, a messianic figure, a Messiah, whereby this Messiah figure will bring about a new age of prosperity, and all the righteous people will be resurrected, and all the wicked people of this time will be punished. And it is generally believed by scholars that this belief originated due to influence from the Zoroastrian religion. And then the influence of the Zoroastrian religion on Judaism would continue in the subsequent religions which would emerge from Judaism, first and foremost of which being Christianity. So in Christianity, we would see these concepts which are believed to have originated from Zoroastrianism develop further and arguably develop even closer to Zoroastrianism. First and foremost of which being the concept of a messianic figure or Messiah, which would develop further within Christianity and rise to the level of being the central concept of that religion, with Jesus being viewed as the Messiah. Further, we would see the concept of a resurrection elevated to the current Christian belief in a judgment day, where the people who are the followers of God will receive eternal life and bliss, and the people who do not follow God will receive an eternal punishment. We would also see in Christianity the concept of good and evil, the people on the side of good being the followers of God, and the people on the side of evil being the followers of the devil. This can also be viewed to have originated from Zoroastrianism. Of course, as we've discussed, it is widely believed that the concept of angels and demons or a devil originated from Zoroastrianism, and those beliefs were carried on into Christianity. And then from Christianity and Judaism, we would see the development of Islam, where we would see, again, certain core concepts passed on. That is, the belief in a judgment day, the belief in heaven and hell, the belief in angels and a devil. So with this, we can see the progression of beliefs which originated in Zoroastrianism and then were carried on through various other religions, starting with Judaism, which would be influenced by Zoroastrianism. So now we're going to talk about the other religion and subsequent branch of religions which emerged from this split which occurred within Proto-Indo-Iranian religion, and that is Hinduism. So as I had mentioned, Zoroastrianism was the religion that was a little bit more divergent from Proto-Indo-Iranian religion. Hinduism was a little closer in belief to the Proto-Indo-Iranian religion. Of course, Hinduism is polytheistic. They believe in the existence of many gods, and we see their belief in these various different gods documented in the ancient Hindu scripture, the Vedas. And then subsequently, we would see the development of newer additional concepts within Hinduism developed within the scripture known as the Upanishads. So within the Upanishads, we see the development of various concepts, such as the concept of reincarnation, karma, what goes around comes around, Atman, a soul or a sense of self, the concept of Brahman, which is almost like a unifying essence to the whole universe, which has been termed by religious scholars as pantheism, the belief in God being everything. And then from Hinduism, and based upon these concepts, we would see certain religions develop which affirmed and accepted some of these concepts, yet diverged from and rejected certain other concepts. These religions namely being Buddhism and Jainism. So Buddhism and Jainism both accept and believe in the concepts of reincarnation and karma, but like I said, they reject certain other concepts. For example, in Buddhism, there is a rejection of the concept of Atman, or self. In Buddhism, there's the belief that everything in existence is finite. Everything in existence is here today, gone tomorrow. And we should not attach ourselves to anything in this existence which is finite, including our own sense of self. And then in doing this, attaching ourselves to things that are finite, we will be stuck in this recurrent cycle of reincarnation. And also in the religion of Jainism, like I said, we see the acceptance of reincarnation and karma. But through this concept of reincarnation and karma, we see a challenge to the concept of these various deities being almost transcendent. In Jainism, there's a belief that everything in existence is subject to these principles of reincarnation and karma, including even these deities. So these deities are themselves even not above and transcendent of this cycle of reincarnation and karma, and they themselves are subject to it. So we've now discussed these two different directions of religions which would emerge, deriving from this split in Proto-Indo-Iranian religion, which would lead to Zoroastrianism starting the trajectory in one direction, and Hinduism starting the trajectory in another direction. Now we're going to talk about how, having branched off into these two different directions, religions are almost going to come full circle and almost reconnect again. And the reconnection between these two different directions that religions had branched off into would occur first within the religion of Sikhism. So Sikhism, as we've talked about before, was developed by an individual named Guru Nanak, who lived in a time when India was under Muslim rule. So we could see how within India we had these two different religions of Hinduism and Islam, which almost represented these two different branches and two different directions that religions went off into. We saw these two living together, living amongst each other. And Sikhism, as is widely agreed by most religious scholars, would almost synthesize these two divergent religions. We would see the monotheism from Islam married with the concept of reincarnation and karma, which we see in Hinduism. So we see a merger of these two divergent traditions into one religion where these two are almost married together. Now, of course, it should be noted that within the Sikh religion, Sikhs don't view things in the sense that the Sikh religion is a merger of Islam and Hinduism. Sikhs believe that the Sikh religion developed out of the tradition of Hinduism, and that the monotheism of Sikhism has its origins within Hinduism and can be even justified within the Veda scriptures. So within Sikhism, we see a coalescing of these two traditions. And there is also another religion which also sees a coalescing of these two traditions and more broadly of all these various different religions. And this is a religion we haven't talked about yet, and that is the Baha'i religion. So the Baha'i religion developed in Iran in the 1800s, and it is considered an Abrahamic religion, so it continues in that same tradition of Judaism to then Christianity to then Islam, and then within that tradition, Baha'i would be the next in that line of succession. Of course, being in that line of succession, the Baha'i faith accepts all of the prophets and religious figures which are within Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, but also accepts Zoroaster, the Hindu religious figures of Rama and Krishna. It also accepts Buddha. It accepts all these figures as prophet-like figures or quote-unquote manifestations of God. So within the Baha'i faith, we see all of these traditions coalesce and marry together, and all of these figures, all viewed as prophet-like figures. And unlike Sikhism, which we see a coalescing and a crossing paths of these two traditions in more of an indirect way, with the, of course, influence of Islam and Hinduism, and of course with Islam, by proxy, we can infer the influence of Christianity, Judaism, and Zoroastrianism. Within the Baha'i faith, we see all of these figures directly and overtly acknowledged as being figures which are venerated under this one faith. So there you go, there you have it. That is my topic on religions of the world and the interconnectedness and common origin and reconnection of all the religions of the world. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed. Talk to you.
I want to thank everybody for coming. Okay, so that was a lot, huh? So as we come to the end of today's sermon, in closing for this part of our sermon, our temple service today, I want us to consider to hold in our hearts the deep knowing that we are not separate from each other, from the earth, or from the divine. The teachings of the Buddha, Christ, Krishna, Muhammad, and many others point us back to love. They point us back to compassion and to oneness. This is easy to get caught up in the outer garments of all the religions and the names, the customs, and the dogmas. But when we look with our eyes, the eyes of our heart, we can see the same light shining through every window. May we walk gently in this world, honoring the many paths that lead to truth. May we listen more deeply, speak more kindly, and love more freely. So I do have some mindfulness homework for this week. So this week I invite everyone to practice sacred listening. So each day choose one interaction, whether it be a friend, a stranger, or someone whose belief systems may differ from yours. And practice listening, without needing to respond, correct, or agree. Simply be present. As you listen, silence yourself. What is the light in this person trying to say to you? Notice the shifts that happen within you as you listen to what this person is saying. From your heart, not just from the mind. At the end of each day, take a moment and journal this down of what you discovered. We are all mirrors for one another, and when we listen deeply, we remember our shared essence. Namaste. So I want to share something with you that can help you during meditations, breath work, mindfulness, just to still your mind, quiet yourself, and allow more access to hear your higher self. Yogena Tasha Bodhenu Vatra Param Travashadikena Yoga Dim Rabadam Bodhidam Patanjaliyam. I'd like to invite anyone that has a known blockage, some kind of energy that you might be in a cycle with, something that you would like to have a little bit of help to release. If you could just visualize that thing now, and as I go around and do a little attunement, if you could just envision that thing, kind of like when I was doing the sage, just the smoke off the sage stick, just going back to and releasing from you and having an opportunity to become new creation as you choose versus the thing that has been birthed. Just let that thing go. Just know that your higher self will allow you to understand the lessons and the blessings of what that thing was meant to teach you in due time. amazing. Alright. Now for the Reiki healing of the mind.
Commit to a joyful life. Release any old emotions, thinking patterns, or habits that are potentially holding you back, including any idea that life is a struggle, and commit to a life filled with joy and ease instead. Please join the channel and become part of the family. Like and share so others can get in on Reiki of the mind. Thank you.
Alright, and real quick, before closing out, this is something that I wanted to just quickly go over real quick before we close out today. You know what? There's quite a bit of them, and so I actually will next week. I will kind of just drop back into this and read. What I did want to do was kind of like read one thing from each of the different religions from the Lotus flower book here. But we will get to that next week. That'll give you something to look forward to next week. So with that being said, we'll play out this last video, and then we'll go ahead and get ready for the podcast. These are some different services and workshops and things that we offer here that can help you on your path, and so we offer those here if you are interested. Awesome. Namaste. Thank you everyone for joining today. If you haven't subscribed yet on the live, if you're on the live and you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. Hit the notification bell so you always know when we're going live, and you can keep up with us and become part of the community. And of course, share with any friends that could benefit, any family members, anyone that you love and care about. Share this out to them and help us with our mission, which is harmony for humanity. All right, namaste. We invite you to hang back if you would like. We're about to start our podcast, and so just give us a few minutes, and we're going to get right into that. And I'll flip the video around, and we'll be ready to go. All right, guys. You want to go ahead and pull your chairs over? Thanks. Everybody in there. Shift here. All right. think that'll work for us. Cool. Let me get everybody's mics. All right, here we go. Get on in here. All right. Make sure we're on there good. Testing. Can you say something?
Testing.
All right, we are good. Welcome to Lotus Flower Wellness Temple podcast, Harmony for Humanity. We are joining you live after our temple service that we do every week here. And today we discuss the interconnectedness of all religions. And so we like to discuss personal perspectives that we each kind of came to with our discernment of the message that we talked about today, and then any integration from last week to this week, as we are a community that is supportive of each one's goals of reaching that highest potential within themselves and their purpose and joy and enlightenment in this life. So we always, of course, share that with people, and that's why we do what we do here, sharing out on the internet, because we truly do believe and support the coming back together of humans, humanity, and the oneness that we all are. So, namaste. I am Erin.
I am Quinn.
Miguel.
Awesome. So, today was a pretty interesting sermon today, huh, guys?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So, who wants to get started today?
I guess I can start it off.
Alrighty.
It definitely was interesting to see, perspective on, some of the origins of interconnected faiths and where it all started. I definitely feel like there's a lot in just, the origins and in the history of how these things got started that really speaks to the core of each of these different religions and what these threads are that kind of flow through them.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting, and we kind of just tapped into it a little bit. There's of course much more, but just there, even on the surface, you can see the idea behind it is connection, it is love, it is compassion, and ultimately if you take the dogma out of the aspects that sometimes kind of can cloud a lot of it, you can kind of see the intention is there, right? To have something that to believe in, something that you can live for, and something that you can be in alignment with, and everything. So we do see kind of humanity's need and draw to being a part of a certain religious group and whatnot. But at the end of the day, we honor everybody's right to believe what they believe, and especially starting with us, right? We hold that space for ourselves, and therefore naturally cause and effect. It kind of ripples out to the rest of the world. So, do you have anything specific today, Miguel, to say about what we discussed today?
Well, I don't know anything specific per se, but I definitely noticed, a lot of similarities between really, all of them, really. There's always an emphasis on denial of pleasures. There's an emphasis on, a higher enlightenment, whether it's nirvana or heaven or whatever. Typically, there's some kind of either some realm of punishment or eternal pain. You know, whether it's, I mean, like dukkha or hell or Sheol or whatever. There's always like that realm where it's like, okay, you know, like there's some suffering or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And usually for the most part, it involves you. Um, Denying yourself like worldly pleasures, you know, and so whether it's material good or other various pleasures that that people tend to naturally drift to, and so I definitely see a lot of that interconnectedness, the similarities, and so grant, too, it's like they all have their little uh, rules and laws and stuff like that. But when you focus on the higher picture here, you know what I'm saying? Focus on the spirituality of it, and you know you have the discipline to focus on that. Then that's when you start to notice all the little things, that that goes on, because I mean all religions are interconnected, but and then you kind of realize at some point that all humans are interconnected. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, so it's like you start to delve deeper and deeper and down the rabbit hole, and you start to notice the patterns. You start to notice just little signs here and there, or little messages here and there, and and it's like, so, and I think in a way all the religions have that to some extent in various forms. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's through various ways. Sometimes it's through people. Sometimes it's through um, just just like extreme acts, or just like all these things where it kind of reveals to you a realm beyond our own understanding, or at least beyond our perception, and so and that's sometimes it's hard for people to grasp, that you got to have the faith to believe that yes, there is something beyond our perception, and the discipline to keep following through with it. So
Got a tear on that one.
Yeah.
Yay. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing, Miguel.
But yeah, like, just seeing those threads that tied together, like, the initial divide, Zoroastrianism, which became the monotheistic leaning religions, and Hinduism, which became the more polytheistic, and then eventually coinciding in the Baha'i, which I haven't actually heard a lot about before. So I couldn't help but feel like, that kind of feeling that you get almost when, whenever you take a personality quiz or something like that. Because I don't have a singular defined term for what my faith is. So I couldn't help but be like, oh, well, that's kind of close to what I believe, like, oh, that's closer to, like, to my idea of how reality is, how divinity works, and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I do feel like, just like there's that underlying thread that connects all of these things, that there is a deeper truth that is within all of religion. That at the heart of them there is truth, right? Even if there's a bunch of different things that are piled on top of that truth, be they brought about by politics or by different ideas of the time or by a conquering army, you know, still the core of that truth is there beneath the surface. And, you know, I do feel like a lot of that is kind of stuff that was older, that that is more prevalent in like the older religions and the older ideas, but also that there are some newer ideas that brought out some qualities that weren't really explored in the older religions as well, and that there are epiphanies and there are you know, like you said in your video, those aha moments, right? Mm-hmm. Like where you know, even beyond just our own personal self improvement, our understanding of universal, like how things are, just expands at certain points. And there are people who felt called to become teachers, or who were born to become teachers and to become prophets, and that each of them had some important lessons and some important messages to bring. I feel like a lot of people remember Jesus, for example, for his death on the cross among Christians, but really, I don't feel like there's a ton that remember him as much for his teachings, or as just like a teacher. Like, I know that it's taught in Bible school and in church that he taught these things and all that kind of stuff, but the emphasis tends to be more on his sacrifice than on the things that he directly taught to people.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. So thank you so very much for sharing. Yeah, I was definitely, you know, looking at the reactions of you gentlemen as we were watching those videos, and I could definitely tell that there was some aha moments for both of you. I was watching, which was beautiful. Miguel was like leaning out of his chair at one point, so I was really, really glad that the divine guided me in such a way today to bring about something, because, you know, I really honestly think that a lot of humans don't really get the fact that what we just discussed today, that you know, that if you're open, you know, and I think sometimes certain, you know, religions don't really maybe teach as much to be open to hearing out other people and open to other people's personal beliefs that might differ from theirs. And that's why the mindfulness homework of this week is to do that, to find some people that do have different beliefs than you and be open to listen to them with an open heart and open mind, and not necessarily from a position of, oh, this person's trying to change my mind, or I just don't believe that and that's not true, I believe this. From a place of openness and understanding. And maybe if we can get that kind of ego out of the way for a little bit, we might be able to see even more connection there. Right. So I do definitely invite everyone to do so. You know, once a day, find somebody, and the divine is going to offer that opportunity if you're open to it. If you put it out there that you're going to give this a shot, the divine will definitely bring somebody around, an opportunity around, that you'll get an opportunity to sit there and listen with your sacred heart, and just taking your mind and those blockages out of it, and actually listening to the person, and offering them a loving, open ear, and then also offering yourself an opportunity for growth, because no matter how maxed out you are in your own personal truth, you can always become more wise by opening your mind up and your heart up to hearing other perceptions and perspectives
Right.
of things. And it doesn't have to change your belief at all to make you more wise, right? You're just being more wise to that there is more than one way to get from point A to point B. And specifically, holding that space. Of course, you love having that space for yourself with that freedom of choice, and the ability to be able to speak your belief systems freely. And so holding that space for others is very beautiful and lovely as well. So we are going to be good stewards and examples of that sacred listening this week if we all do our mindfulness homework. And definitely please do keep up with that in your journal, because I think you're really going to find that you're going to probably even wind up going back to that and being like, oh, something else came to me about it. So you may find some aha moments even in your belief systems off of maybe just one sentence another person says that might not be fully the truth of what you believe, but it may bring you on to something else within your own ideas and expressions of your own belief systems. So yes, I do invite everyone, and of course, always, 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 I am never ever a person that's just like, oh, just believe what I say. This is all about discerning. I teach people to get back to their power in a place to be able to discern things with your heart, with your intuition, and to get to your own truths based off of your own connection to it, that own resonance, that feeling of resonance to that. So definitely not trying to tell anybody what to believe
Right.
or think, but offering a way that can lead to your freedom, your ultimate freedom, in by discerning from moment to moment instead of getting rigidly held to your secular, just habitual cycle of this is what I believe, this is my reaction to it. So free yourself from that cycle, those cycles, by starting to discern moment to moment, and that also includes everything that comes out of my mouth
Yeah.
as well.
And I definitely feel like there's a lot that can be channeled. There's a lot that can be found through intuition, through understanding of oneself. There's a lot that is reflected in the cycles of the universe as is evident just to our eyes, which is also evident in the truth of religion and the truth of spiritual belief. I really do believe in that kind of as above, so below mentality, that, all that is reflected everywhere. Like it's something that can be seen in everything.
I had to give you a cheer on that.
Thank you.
Yes, I really appreciate you sharing that, and that is so very true. And divine is putting on my soul too. Also, what a teacher nature is. Animals and plants, and just the different growth cycles and cycles just in general of the seasons. And if we look at things from a higher perspective, we really can see there's a lot of truth and a lot of interconnectedness with that, of what we're going through. And I know it might be hard for a human to be like, oh, let me see what I can learn about myself through this plant. But how about try it?
Yeah.
How about try it for a minute? So it's just quite an amazing thing. So our teachers are always there when you're ready, and we never know what it's going to be or who it's going to be or how it's going to be, but just be open to that. And the more open-minded, the more that you start to listen, even like so in nature, right? When you're doing sacred listening, it's going to be a little deep. You know, maybe the tree's not going to talk to you, but the wind's going to blow through it. You're going to see the movement. So that connection and that being aware and connecting for a minute also can be that sacred listening. You're connecting in such a way that you might not hear the words from the tree, but you're actually going to be able to see and discern through your own intuition. If you put enough focus and connection with something, it's going to share its lessons with you.
Right, and it's something I feel like you can see within nature, you can see within space, how the Earth turns on its axis and it cycles around the sun. There are cycles within these cycles. It's something where you can see it within trends, within the within culture and within history, where you see these cycles being repeated, where things come apart and they come back together again, and then they come apart once more. It's I really feel like it's that kind of thing where you can see death and rebirth repeated over and over again, and the laws of the universe and the reflected, in not just nature, but also in culture and in religion and in the various ideas of different times as they evolve.
Awesome. Yes. I love it. Very, very good points. Now, we have talked a good bit about what we discussed today in the sermon and everything. I want to just throw this out there because I always love to. I love to, show the people that watch us on live, if they start to, take some time, come and show up, be here, become part of the community. Start discerning, do the mindfulness homework from week to week, and you will start to see transformation. And so hi y'all, welcome in, make yourselves at home. So I do always like to invite you guys to share any integration story or anything that you may have from last week to this week, anything that's maybe come up for you or anything like that. So does anybody have anything to share today?
Well, I do. I'm actually this lesson kind of it reminded me of the parable of the Good Samaritan that Jesus taught, and his thing was about basically, like, in that region, it was full of different religions and people of half-breeds and other kind of races. And so, when the lawyers kind of was asking him about, who is our neighbor? What is our neighbor? And Jesus didn't so much as tell him who their neighbor was, but how to treat their neighbor. And so it's everyone's your
Thank
neighbor.
you.
And in a sense, everyone's your neighbor because we all live on the same planet. And so, pretty much that being said, so he taught to love everybody unconditionally. And the two greatest commandments in Christianity is love your God above all else and love your neighbor. And so that was, a big part of Jesus' teachings because, if you don't have love, everything else falls apart. There is no spirituality, and it's like there's no discipline. You can't have faith in something or somebody you don't love, and so, you can't be generous to anyone if you can't love them, and so if you're making enemies, you're not making friends and family, and you're not showing love because you can't hate and love at the same time. It doesn't work like that. And so, and the same thing with all other kind of religions, it's just respect everyone else's beliefs and standpoints, and You know, when you start to see the similarities, you know, then you start to see like the standpoints of the various prophets, you know, and messengers that, like, you know, they're saying love, you know, have faith, you know, have discipline, you know, and so I think that one's really powerful, that about the Good Samaritan, because, you know, these people that were supposedly heathens and whatnot, people who were absolutely vile barbarians, and this barbarian was the one that saved this man who was dying, and, you know, and got robbed in the middle of the road. And so, you know, and so uh, in the Bible, you know, it's like stories are a very powerful way to uh, to teach somebody a lesson, and that was, you know, one of Jesus's big ways of teaching someone a lesson was through his various parables and stories. You know, rather than just saying, no, you got to do this, no, you got to do that. Oh, you know, you're gonna go to hell if you don't do this or you do that. You know, it really wasn't about that. You know, he was, you know, he used his spiritual gift to teach people and to heal people, and, you know, to show them the way to enlightenment. You know, and that was the number one thing, was through love and through faith. So
Yes. Awesome. Do you have anything else? Gwen, thank you for sharing.
Yeah, for like, for my own integration and for my own experiences this past week, I definitely feel like I've been coming more into terms with my pace, and with accepting, you know, where I am in life, with, you know, not not feeling ashamed or upset when I'm not moving fast enough, or when, you know, things appear to be going faster than I'm comfortable with, to, you know, recognize where I am, and to kind of like be able to just be in that place, to not judge myself in any way for how I am going through that, and to just kind of, you know, trust the process, trust the universe, trust that, you know, everything is happening the way it needs to happen. Everything will work in its time. You know, everything will come to be as it needs to be, and that, you know, the decisions I'm making, even if they're like not always in my best interest, sometimes they'll still lead me to places I need to be. You know?
Awesome. Yes, absolutely. Yes, awesome. Thank you so much, guys, for sharing that. And I just want to give us all a nice little cheer here, because we're definitely sharing love and our personal perspectives and part of our journey and everything. And we do that. And we do exactly what we're doing, coming on live. Everything we're doing now is because we all believe that humanity is precious, and we're all one, and we love you all, and we want to be here and give anybody that feels like they need a community, need to be surrounded by the energy and the words and the past of other people that are you know, putting in the time, the effort, the discipline to, you know, really purify themselves and get back to what's true for you. Find out, do some experimenting, figure out what it is that really resonates with your soul. And maybe some of you might not have ever had an opportunity or ever heard somebody say you have a choice to decide what you actually believe. I don't know if everybody's ever even thought that you have a mind and a ability to discern things for yourself, and you don't have to just take everything that since you were small somebody said this is what we believe. So we do like to come on to the internet and give everybody in the whole world an opportunity to be drawn to our podcast or to the temple service and have that opportunity to connect with a community that supports you and loves you and is a place that can help you on your spiritual growth and path. So yay if you're watching and you are taking those steps to do your work to get yourself back to a place where you're gonna really super duper enjoy your life and feel very empowered, like you do have some say so in this life about what happens within your reality, because I'm a true believer that what we think, what we allow in, what we speak out of our mouth, what we tell ourselves, that story we tell ourselves, has a lot to do with the reality that you're going to be meeting in your next nows based off of what energy you're putting into your current now. So with that being said, we are here for you. And if you ever have any questions or want us to talk about something specific or answer any specific questions, you can email. Eventually we're going to have it where the comments will show up and everything, and we'll be able to go through the comments. But right now, if you want to just send an email to Lotus Flower Candles 1111, so CANDLES 1111 at gmail.com. Lotus Flower Candles 1111 at gmail.com, and I will put that in the comment section as well. All right, so thank you so much for joining in today. Thank you, and hit subscribe and the notification bell so you'll catch us every time. All right, namaste. Goodbye for now.
Did you see my Phoenix?
No, cool. I didn't know you did a